Lesson 21. The last lesson in this course. Phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs. What is a phrasal verb? What is a phrasal verb? A phrasal verb is a combination of a verb and preposition. A phrasal verb is a combination of a verb and a preposition, or a verb and an adverb, or a verb with both an adverb and a preposition. A phrasal verb is a combination of a verb and a preposition, or a verb and an adverb, or a verb with both an adverb and a preposition. A phrasal verb has a meaning which is different from the original meaning. A phrasal verb has a meaning which is different from the original verb. A phrasal verb has a meaning which is different from the original verb. It means the meaning of a phrasal verb, a verb plus a preposition, or a verb plus an adverb, or a verb plus preposition or adverb, has a completely different meaning from its original verb. That's what makes them fun. That's what makes them fun, but confusing. You may need to try to guess the meaning from the context or look it in the dictionary. You may need to try to guess the meaning from the context or look in the dictionary. Some verbs are two-part verbs. Some verbs are two-part verbs. They consist of a verb and a particle. They consist of a verb and a particle. It means they are a phrasal verb, a verb and a particle. For example, grow plus up, a verb and a particle. A verb and a particle. Grow up, grow up. The children are growing up. The children are growing up. Here it takes ing because it is in a present progressive tense. It is in a present progressive tense. It is a phrasal verb. A verb plus a particle. A verb plus a particle. The children are growing up. Often, this gives the verb a new meaning. This gives the verb a new meaning. Take plus after. Take plus after. A verb and a particle. A verb and a particle. She takes after her mother. Why we need to use s? Because the subject is singular. The subject is singular and we need third person singular s. She takes after her mother. She takes after her mother. This have a completely different meaning from take only. Only take. Only take. Here it means she looks like her mother. She looks like her mother, or she behaves like her mother. Take after means looks like. Takes after means looks like or behaves like her mother. She takes after her mother. She takes after her mother. It means she looks like her mother or she behaves like her mother. Count plus on. Count plus on is also another phrasal verb. A verb plus a particle plus a preposition Here a verb plus an adverb. A verb plus an adverb, or a verb plus a preposition. I know I can count on you. I know I can count on you. Count on you has a completely different meaning from count only. It has a completely different meaning. It is a phrasal verb. I know I can trust you. It means I know I can count on you. I know I can count on you means I know I can trust you. I know I can trust you, or I know I can believe you, or I know I can believe you. I know I can believe you. Some transitive two-part verbs. Some transitive two-part verbs have only one pattern. Some transitive two-part verbs. Some transitive two-part verbs have only one pattern. What's a transitive verb? Transitive verbs are verbs that take direct object. Are verbs that take direct object. But intransitive verbs are verbs that do not take object. The pattern is like this: noun or subject plus verb plus particle plus second noun or the object. Note: N stands for noun, V stands for verb, P stands for particle. Example: she takes after her mother. She takes after her mother. She takes after her mother. It is a transitive two-part verb. It is a transitive two-part verb. Two-part verb. What does it mean, two-part verb? It means phrasal verb. Phrasal verb. She takes after her mother. I can count on you. I can count on you. I can count on you. My father comes from. My father comes from. It is a two-part verbs. Transitive two-part verbs. It takes object. Transitive verbs can take object. It is a phrasal transitive verb. It is a phrasal verb. It is a phrasal verb. A verb and a particle. A verb and a preposition. My father comes from Madrid. Some transitive two-part verbs are phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs have two different patterns. Phrasal verbs have two different patterns. The usual pattern is noun plus verb plus noun. It means the object. The first noun is the subject. The second noun is the object plus particle. Subject plus verb plus object plus particle. She gave me the money back. She gave me the money back. Gave back is the phrasal verb. Gave back is the phrasal verb. She knocked the glass over. He knocked the glass over. Knocked over is what? Is a phrasal verb. It is a transitive two-part verb. Which is a phrasal verb. Transitive two-part verb. Why it is transitive? Because it takes object. We will be leaving our friends and neighbors behind. We will be leaving our friends and neighbors behind. Leaving behind. Leave behind. It is a phrasal verb. It is the usual pattern. But sometimes these verbs have the pattern subject plus verb plus particle plus object. But sometimes these phrasal verbs have this pattern: subject plus verb plus particle plus object. For example, she gave back the money. She gave back the money. Here, the object come in the middle of the phrasal verb, between the verb and the particle. Here, the object comes between the verb and the particle. The object comes between the verb and the particle. But here, the object comes after the particle, after the verb and the particle. She gave back the money. She gave back the money. She knocked over the glass. She knocked over the glass. We will be leaving behind. We will be leaving behind our friends and neighbors. We will be leaving behind our friends and neighbors. Here, the object comes after the particle and the verb. The object comes at the end of the sentence. And these verbs, these phrasal verbs, take object. Why they take object? Why they take object? I told you a few seconds ago. Why they take object? They take object because they are transitive. They are transitive. Transitive verbs take object, but intransitive verb do not take object. When the object is a personal pronoun, these verbs always have this pattern. These verbs always have this pattern. These verbs, I mean phrasal verbs. But what are personal pronouns? What are personal pronouns? Think about it. Personal pronouns are he or what? Is it correct? Personal pronouns are what? Her, him, them, it, and others. When the object is a personal pronoun, these verbs, it means phrasal verbs, always have this pattern. Noun plus verb plus noun plus particle. It means subject plus verb plus object plus particle. The personal pronouns comes between the verb and the particle. The personal pronoun should be between the verb and the particle. When the object is a personal pronoun, it must be between the verb and the particle. It must be between the phrasal verb. For example, she gave back it. She gave back it. It is a personal pronoun, but it comes after the verb and the particle. Therefore, it is completely wrong. It is wrong. The right one is she gave it back. She gave it back. She gave it back. The object, which is a personal pronoun, comes between the verb and the particle. Comes between the verb and the particle. Another example. He knocked over it. He knocked over it. It is what is a personal pronoun that functions as an object. It comes after the verb and the particle. It comes after the phrasal verb. Therefore, it is completely wrong. He knocked it over. He knocked it over. It is the object. It is a personal pronoun. It comes between the verb and the particle, between the verbs and the verb and the preposition. Therefore, it is correct. It is correct. The last example. We will be leaving behind them. We will be leaving behind them. Them is what? Is a personal pronoun. Them is a personal pronoun which comes after the verb and the particle. It is a personal pronoun that comes after the verb and the particle. Therefore, it is wrong. Why it is wrong? Think about it. Why it is wrong? Because As I told you, when the object is a personal pronoun, it must be between the verb and the particle. It must be between the verb and the particle. We will be leaving them behind. Them is the personal pronoun and it is the object. It comes between the verb and the particle. Between the verb and the particle. It is correct. And this was the phrasal verbs.